I'm going to name a band. Just give me your quick thoughts on them, okay?
Okay.
Exodus.
Oh, you know, they're the reason why we're all here. You know, phenomenal guitar playing, phenomenal musicianship. You know, the Bay Area heroes. Gary's the godfather for, all us guitar players. And, Zet was in, me and Zet's brother, he played in our band when I was in high school. I was in 15, he was in On Parole. Me and his brother got him to sing for us. So I've known Zet for the longest time. And it's great to see him still crushing it.
Yeah, I love Zet's show on YouTube. I think it's awesome.
Great.
I reached out to Zet and asked him to come on, and he said no, but he was gracious. He sent me a really nice email back and said, I've done a lot of interviews, and he's like, I don't think I could be asked something that I haven't been asked 100 times. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't mind digging and doing some work. But
Right
he was super nice, super gracious, and you never know down the road as well. But
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
He's awesome. He's awesome with fans and awesome with press and super cordial and cares about all of that.
Oh, absolutely. And he likes the Calgary Flames, which I find slightly interesting, being a Canadian guy. But so we'll get to the hockey in a minute.
All
But
right.
Testament.
Fuck, man. Same amazing musicianship, and knowing the guys as well as I have, is there a bad Testament record? Is there a record where you just have they put out a bad record? I love Eric's riffs. I love, he's hell of a lead player too.
Yeah.
Alex is one of the best guitar players that I've seen. And who's playing drums for them? Lombardo's in the band, but they got Hoagland, and they plug and play the most phenomenal drummers of all. So, and Stevie D's a boy. I love Testament.
Yeah. Were you at that gig? So when Alex left the band in '92, so to my understanding, they had Glenn Alvali, and they were coming around again, and they wanted to do have a proper send off for Alex, and they played a local show. But Louis quit that day. Were you at that gig? Because I think they were calling Perry in or somebody to try and help.
I was at that gig. You know what? I was at that gig because Perry played.
Yeah. What are your memories of that?
I remember sitting in the bar at the bar watching, and I think it was one of Glenn's first shows. It might have been his first show at the Warfield, and here's to show you what our relationship was back then. Me and Dean were counting how many times he fucked up in the back. That's one.
No. Yeah.
That's two. We were happy for him. Perry filled in for Exodus, and to hear Perry talk about it, he's like, fuck, he just said yes. He didn't know any of that shit. He's just like, he just said yes to do it, and I'll figure it out type deals. So,
well, I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think Glenn was playing, but Alex was playing too. They wanted to do a send off for
him. I don't remember that.
Yeah, so I got it from his book. But anyway,
okay.
Death Angel.
Oh, they've been around since the beginning of my beginnings of going to the East Bay shows and watching Andy when he was 15 years old playing. And remember when Mark first started singing for him. They were always like our competition, and we had beef with them back in the day. And I always respected their musicianship as well, And I think Rob's a phenomenal guitar player, and but there was, 89 was the height of, we're coming into our second, our pressing's coming out, they're doing Act 3, and Twisted into Form's coming out. There was a big, I guess we were the third wave, maybe not really the second wave or whatever we were, but that bunch of bands were really, cocky as fuck. And, Death Angel, I always admire the musicianship. Songwriting was fucking great, but they were in the way,
And what was
I feel
interesting.
totally different now, as we've
Oh
gone through
yeah.
the 90s and as we've grown to be adults, totally feel different now.
And what's really interesting is you and Rob are both Jackson guys. I've never seen him without that Warrior guitar.
Yeah, he's been playing just as long as I have.
Yeah, no, for
Probably
sure.
longer, maybe about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forbidden.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a weird relationship with that band. We would practice in Fremont at Perry knew the guys from Annihilation who had this guy Pat he had their jam spot, and it was awesome, man. It was the party joint, Forbidden practice in a storage place around the corner. We'd set up in front of Annihilation and play. It was a party every weekend. And so we were peers in the beginning, and as we were having trouble with Troy, we asked Rob to join, and we weren't looking for a guitar player. We just wanted Rob in the band. And I think he felt the same way. And so that started, we were both starting. I think we had been playing in clubs a little bit longer than them. We were a little bit older. But that started, this big competition. They got Debbie Abono to start managing them.
Yeah.
And then we got Debbie to manage us. And it was like, who's getting the record deal? Who's getting the cover? Who's getting who's getting this? So it was plus with the personalities, we were super cocky and talk shit, and Craig was super mouthy, and so it was a big thing that it carried on for a long time. I did this Bay Area International show and Craig invited me to be part of it over when I was over there with Lamb of God, and I had to pull him aside before we went on stage and really, let a lot of shit go that I'd still kind of carrying. Maybe, not so much from back then, but just personal shit. And
Yeah.
I needed to make a point with him to go, look, I gotta, whether you're not, and he's like, I don't have anything, but I had to just let him know that, hey, I'm carrying this and I'm letting it go now. I need to let this go. It's fucking dumb, but before I go on stage with you and bro down, I need to really do it. I need to, we need to be bros if I can't go up there and fake it. So
yeah,
that was a really cool moment, and I think that maybe it turned a light on with him, like maybe what was going on with me.
yeah.
But ever since then, it's been like a different dynamic to, I've had him come jam with the cover band, and, our relationship has really changed since that. So I'm
Well, that's
really
good though.
we've done that. Yeah. It felt, feels good.
A little lighter on the shoulders.
Yeah, for sure.
Another Bay Area band I'm going to ask about is Vicious Rumors.
I don't really have a lot of. I've known the guys, known Jeff for a long time. They were more, I don't know, they were like a power metal band. They were true metal. All the subgenres. They weren't really. They were kind of a tweener band. They were older. They'd been around for a long time, so they had been through all the stages of the Bay Area metal scene, and veterans of that. Great players. Jeff was awesome. Mark McGee was fucking killer.
Oh yeah.
I love the lineup when they had Carl Albert singing for them. And so it's, talented band. I'm just not really familiar. I think Ira played with them too. Ira Black was in Vio-lence. So, not a lot of known information there with me.
So where I grew up in Ottawa. It's the capital city of Canada, home of the Ottawa Senators.
Snyder.
I know John Ricci quite well.
I love John Ricci. I don't know, but I just love that lineup.
I'll say hi to him for you. I talk to him every other week. Sometimes I'll pop into his work. I've got his, we text and email and stuff, and I've known him for years. He was just
tell him I'm a huge fan, man.
I will definitely do that. But to us, meaning not John, but us, the younger crowd that were really into thrash and learning our instruments, like the Bay Area was the center of the universe. It just seemed like a million miles away. So like to us peons, we would look at you guys and we would like try and get every information in the magazines or the metal magazines, or Canada had a metal show on Much Music called the Pepsi Power Hour, and then it became the Pepsi. Like the first time World in a World came on, I was just like, I remember running to the VCR to try and tape it so fast. Like it was so I think it might be kind of weird for you guys at times because you grew up in the Bay Area. Everything was, it's just, you were there. But to us, it's like, oh my God, like the Bay Area. And so, I had great parents. I loved my parents. But, I do struggle with the fact that they didn't, live in the Bay Area.
Move me there. We were really fortunate to be able to witness all that happening. And I was maybe a little bit late considering my age and what was happening at the time. I didn't see Exodus until the record release party at the Kabuki in 1985. I didn't see Metallica until I remember I saw them at the Keystone Berkeley, but it was Kill 'Em All had been out, and they were playing Fight Fire with Fire for the very first time. So a little bit late to seeing some of that. My buddy Dave Colbrowse he was into Exodus and he had the demos, and but there was this band called Lost Rocket.
Oh yeah.
That he turned me on to. And our hometown boy, Willie Langenhusen, who's from Dublin, from my hometown, he had joined, and I really loved, before the record came out, they, before City's Gonna Burn, right around that era was when I loved that Phil Kettner and Aaron Jelm, the guitar players, were just fucking amazing. Oh, yeah. So that was the band that I was more into. And then I got into Exodus, and then I got into, everybody loved Metallica, but Laws was my band.
And Laws, they just couldn't seem to connect to make it to that next level, eh? Like, I don't know.
They were a tweener. They were a tweener. They weren't really a thrash band, and they weren't really.
I've heard things from bad album covers to bad management. Might have been issues. Don't know. Wasn't there?
Yeah. I don't know. I love them.